I've been backpacking for over 30 years, and I've never eaten food on trail like I did on this trip. But the surprising part wasn't the meal. It was everything that we had to do before Taku could ever start cooking. For this trip, I invited Taku and Jocelyn with the Outdoor Chef Life, who's known for doing fishing trips and all kinds of other unique trips, and then going out and catching stuff, but then also being able to take all of that and make some amazing food. But I wanted to see what Taku was going to be able to do whenever we backpacked out into the middle of the Rocky Mountains, carrying everything that we needed for the trip on our own backs. So for this trip, we had to hike over 6 miles into the Rockies, carrying all of the fishing and cooking gear. We had to deal with altitude, fire restrictions, and the reality that we might not catch anything at all. So this video is not just about food. It's about what changes when a catch and cook trip becomes a real backpacking trip. Now, when I reached out to them, I found out that Taku and Jocelyn hadn't really backpacked that much. And so we spent a little bit of time talking through the different gear and what they had, because they do a lot of camping already. And they'd already been planning ahead a little bit and buying gear that potentially could get them out backpacking, because it's something they've always wanted to do. But they didn't have everything that they necessarily needed to go out on a first trip.
What do you think is going to be the toughest part of the day? The hiking up portion, the fishing in a lake you've never fished in, or having to cook what we catch using backpacking gear?
I think it is actually going to be the cooking, because high elevation cooking is way different.
Yeah.
Takes so much longer for things to cook. Especially, I brought some rice that I wanted to cook, and I know that is going to take a lot of extra time, opposed to, if you cook it at sea level, just because of the elevation makes it so different.
Right.
That water boiling at a lower temperature makes it so the rice doesn't cook as fast. So, and it might not turn out, the same as if I were to cook it at sea level.
Yeah, I see you doing so much cool things, like cooking over the fire and having, because then you end up with just tons of space, and you can have as many pots and pans and all this other stuff. But now we're limited to the pots that we brought up, and having to cook. We got a fire ban, so we can't have an open flame. So
just a little propane, little backpacking stove, and having just a tiny little board as a cutting board, and having very limited gear. But I like it. I like that.
Nice.
I like having the limited gear kind of challenge.
Yeah.
Always end up using the environment a lot more than you would otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what. Yeah. So another question I've got for you. So a lot of times, right, as a backpacker, we try to go as light as possible, and so you're always trying to find ways that what you can live without and what you don't carry. But I would imagine, with all your experience as a chef, you prioritize a lot of times taste, and having the spices or other things that you need, or the gear that you need to be able to do that. So what, choices did you make that were different, in planning for this trip?
Yeah.
And what did you sacrifice potentially?
I pretty much like the cutting board. I usually have a nice cutting board. It's pretty heavy, so I'm not going to bring it backpacking. But I think that makes a difference. Also, the amount of knives and utensils.
Okay. I was going to say, did you bring your fancy knife kit that you...
No, I didn't bring my knife roll that I usually have on me. Just one knife, and, we got a spork, got a pair of chopsticks, one pot, and one little backpacking stove. So I'm definitely limited, and definitely made a lot of sacrifices to not bring more gear.
Nice.
But yeah, I also there are some parts where I didn't, where I kind of brought more than I needed, which is, I think, one of the things that brought us Yeti mugs for them, for coffee.
Last weekend I took my coffee mug as well. I didn't this time though.
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about just bringing the paper cups, or but I like a nice too. Yeah, I like a nice hot. I like a nice hot coffee and nice hot, to keep it hot.
Yeah.
So
I know that's one of the things I sacrifice when I come out backpacking, because I'll the pot that I boil the water in is the same pot I'll put my coffee in, but it's titanium, so it doesn't keep the heat for very long.
Right.
And so I could drink my coffee for, the first, like I drove it, drink my same cup of coffee for the hour of my drive up this morning,
Yeah.
but I won't have that luxury because I'm gonna have to drink it faster because it's gonna get cold quick.
Exactly. No, that I'm thinking like if the morning's cold, you want to keep it hot, and you want the hot liquid going inside you, it makes you feel a little energized again. So
It'll be fun to see what all you ended up bringing and stuff too, because I really did think, to be honest, I was like, your pack is going to be like 50 pounds because I see all the gear you use all the time, right? And I was just like, there's no way he's going to leave some of that. He's going to bring his knife roll. He's going to bring all these things, and I was really expecting. So the fact that you were at 37, I was impressed.
No, I thought I was gonna bring my cast iron.
I did.
He's like, I need my cast iron.
Right. Exactly.
Funny.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing how we figure this out as the weekend goes on.
As we got out on the trail, we started walking through an old burn scar portion from a really big fire that had happened in the Colorado mountains many years ago. It really left us exposed to the hot days that we've been having here in Colorado. I was really interested to see some of the growth that was showing up on the base of the forest floor after so many years of this forest just being devastated. We made sure to take some time to take some shade breaks and some water breaks along the way, because Taku and them had come all the way from the west coast and from sea level. And so even though they'd spent the last couple days working their way up in elevation to kind of get ready for the elevation, we wanted to make this, an easier trip to make sure that we were taking our time and making it as easy as possible on them as we could. As you can see, this lake sits down in the valley, and part of the regulations for this lake is that you can't actually camp right near the lake. You have to camp a quarter of a mile away from the lake, which meant that we either had to go back down the trail or we had to keep going past the trail and go up on this really tall ridge and camp up there.
Whew. All right, climbing that hill to the ridge was a little more than we probably wanted, but we did it. We made it to what's gonna be camp.
After setting up camp, we immediately decided to take out whatever we could from our packs and just take the gear that we needed and hike back down the ridge in order to get down to the lake and start doing some fishing. Now, for those of you that follow my channel, you know that you've probably not seen me do a lot of fishing because I am actually not a big fisherman, and I've especially never fly fished. This is the first time ever that I've actually fly fished. I bought this really cool tenkara rod just to be able to take out on backpacking trips just like this, and I wanted to give it a try. And it wasn't too long as it started to get closer to dark that we started to get some bites. And I caught my first trout. Some of the first ones that we caught that first day weren't all that big, so we didn't really keep many of them. Most of them we tossed back in. We did end up keeping just a couple though, so that we could cook a couple up and feed Roscoe, because his stomach had been bothering him a little bit on this trip, and we wanted to get him with some good food in the belly. Then after enjoying a little bit of late afternoon fishing, it was time to hike back up the hill and head to camp for the night. Morning, guys. Got up early to take in this big view that we have today. These gorgeous mountains all around us. Sunrise is just gorgeous across the valley. Slept okay last night. Yesterday was a hard day. It's just been hot here in Colorado, which made for really hot hiking in. But bugs are a little bad this morning. But looking forward to getting back down to the lake. The only negative thing about the trip that we chose this time was, it's a beautiful lake and beautiful place to be able to fish in. But I found out right at the last minute that they have regulation that says you can't camp within a quarter mile of the lake. And then realized when we got here that the lake's right in the middle of the valley. So you either have to camp a decent bit before you get to the lake, or you have to do like we did, pass the lake and then hike up on top of the ridge, which gave us these beautiful views. So we're kind of glad we did it, but it makes it challenging to enjoy the lake throughout the day because you have to hike back down and then back up the ridge every time you want to get back to camp. So I think today we're going to break camp this morning and go down, fish for a little while, and then I think we're going to go back towards the trailhead a little bit, maybe half a mile, and set up camp where we saw some other places before, and then come and hike back up to the lake and enjoy the rest of the day with the lake. And then that way we're a little closer toward the trailhead to hike out tomorrow. So should make for a decent day and make it a little bit easier so that we're not hiking up and down this ridge 3-4 times a day just to try to get back to camp and enjoy ourselves. So looking forward to the day. Let's see if hopefully we can catch us some fish today. We caught a few yesterday. It was really cool. My first time fly fishing ever. I bought this tenkara rod that is really kind of cool to use. It's really simple for backpacking to have out. And I caught one little bitty trout and then got quite a few bites that I didn't manage to land. And Taku was getting all kinds. He caught a decent sized one that we actually ended up cooking last night and giving to Roscoe because he just, his stomach's been messed up a little bit since coming to Colorado. So we wanted to get him some good food in his system. But
he got a lot of bites too. So we're hoping this morning, once we get down on the lake, I can already see the fish hitting the water from up here. So hopefully it's going to be a good day of fishing. So we've managed to catch a few fish this morning. And Taku's over there cooking them up in a way that only he knows how to do. He is a madman when it comes to cooking fish. That's one of the things I love about watching his channel. So you guys need to check out his video if you want to see, how we end up with some of this and how dinner turns out.
Oh yeah, we did it.
I have a feeling this is probably one of the best meals I've had backpacking.
Cheers. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. What is this? Fruity. ZMPA, Colorado.
This is an outer range.
Outer range blend.
Made in Frisco.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did go there.
What happened to them?
We did it, guys. We backpacked up. We did it first day. We did like 7 miles total. That was a pretty good amount.
Yeah, and then we kept climbing that hill back there.
Yeah.
First day.
Yeah. And we caught the fish. And it's not over. And with the fried shallot.
That's really good.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't believe we actually never done backpack. The amount of time we've spent outdoors, but actually never backpacked was kind of crazy. So it's something we've been looking forward to for a long time. And I'm glad you invited us, just kind of randomly out of the blue. And then I saw your email and I was, let's do it.
Right.
I'm like, let's do it.
I know. I mean, I guess. So my question So, I mean, you fish all over the place, right? And just all kinds of places. And I've seen you do some hike out to some lakes too before and do some day hikes. To you, I mean, was this worth it? I mean, we went pretty remote here, we're pretty far out, and surrounded by gorgeous mountains here.
100% worth it. Easily do it again, over and over. And I feel like, even though this is kind of our first backpacking trip, I feel like it's very familiar to us still, because just the amount of time we've spent camping in general.
We've done a lot of like rural Alaska, but we were in a cabin.
Yeah. we're like, we haven't like hiked up to a spot to camp. We more like, we've boated up. I've kayaked camped. We used to motorcycle camp a lot before YouTube.
Right.
We done it. We went all the way up from San Francisco to Vancouver, Canada, just camping along the way on our motorcycles back in the day. So we spent a lot of time doing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, hiking out with the backpack is a different challenge for sure, because of how much weight you have to, kind of think about bringing.
It definitely limits you. One thing, the car camp, you can take whatever you want. You start coming out here, it doesn't take much for it to start adding up. And then, you start carrying that heavy pack up some of these hills. You really start to feel it.
100%. I'm getting some nice burn bits on the bottom. It's real good.
I like how the rice turned out.
It finally cooked all the way through. I was kind of trying to be patient with the rice, making sure it cooked all the way. I kept trying it. I'm like, no, it's still not done. Still not done.
We're at almost 11,000 feet here.
Wow. I feel pretty good in terms of the, being at high elevation, just the cardio, just the energy. I think we did a good job hydrating, making sure we stay well hydrated. Very important for here.
It definitely helps with the elevation. Now after we have our lunch, we've got to go catch dinner.
Yeah, we gotta catch some more. I know. I only say the little fish to Roscoe. He's expecting more.
Right.
He's like, catch me that bigger one.
I think I have to do a little better at making sure that I get them on land. Considering all the keepers that we've managed to have been yours.
You did catch one, but you let it.
I know. Most of mine have
Prison.
Well, that one,
Yeah,
I put him in it, and he managed to get out. And then another one over there was bigger than that one. It was actually decent size, but I didn't have a live well and over there at the time. And I realized it after I caught the fish. And so then now I got him to land, got him off the hook. And then I started trying to build, instead of leaving him on land, I was like, oh, I'll hold him and build a quick live well. Well, of course, he went right back in the lake. And I'm like, well, hey, guess I'm not keeping any fish.
Not yet.
He did land too. They just both escaped
Right.
when they were on land.
I am having fun with that little bitty tenkara rod, though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, we got to finish this up. Go catch more trout.
All right, we've had a really cool day so far. We caught a few fish, got to eat fish for lunch, and man, was that amazing. Taku definitely knows how to cook fish when out camping, even with the limitations of having to do it backpacking. That was so good of a meal. Probably the best meal I've had in the backcountry in a while. But now we're going to try to see if we can catch some more fish. Maybe even get us something else for dinner. because why not? And I'll tell you what, for those of you that have, watched me, I'm not much of a fisherman. And I just decided here recently, I came across this cool little tenkara rod that barely weighs just over 2 ounces, and managed to convince myself that, I wouldn't mind trying to get into some fly fishing when out backpacking out in the backcountry. And so this has been a super fun trip. For somebody who doesn't know anything about fly fishing, I am having a blast out here. It's just so much fun with just being able to kind of enjoy yourself. For me, one of the challenges I think that I've had early on in my life was I didn't really like fishing that much because I didn't have the patience. My ADHD just didn't like, having to sit there all day trying to work through and figure out what was working and what's biting and, all of the things that you do in that world. But, I find because when I backpack out, I do it to get away from everything and to kind of just be able to relax and, and see some of the things out here and just kind of chill. So I found that I actually don't mind spending a little bit of time tossing a fly rod out in a beautiful lake like this, because if I wasn't doing this, I'd be kind of just chilling and hanging out anyway. So why not work on having some fun and catching some fish? So I'm enjoying myself. I'll definitely make sure to put the link to this tenkara rod. When they first came out with these really lightweight rods, they were super expensive. But now there's some really cool companies out there that I think are making some good entry-level rods and stuff for it. It's not quite the same as if you were, had a full fly rod. My buddy Taku, who's out here, has also got his fly rod, so he can reach out and get a little further. Mine here is a 10-foot rod, and I've probably got 12, 14 foot or so of line that I can get out, and so I can get it out there a little bit. So after fishing a bit more in the afternoon, we caught up quite a bit more that we ended up tossing back and not really keeping anything major for the afternoon. And it became time to now head back up the hill and head to camp for the night. At the end of day 2, so far of our backpacking trip, we've had a lot of adventures between sleeping up on the ridge, fishing, catching some fish, had an amazing lunch.
Yeah.
With the fish. How do you guys feel like the trip went compared to what maybe you were expecting?
I think it went exactly as expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Backpack out, fish a little bit the first day. Next day, have, pretty much all day to do whatever, and then cook our catch.
All right.
And it's exactly what we did. I think we accomplished our goal.
Do you think it was harder than you expected?
I think it was like perfect amount of difficulty. It was like challenging, yet it was doable.
Right.
Yeah, it was for sure. Like it wasn't easy, doing that first day hike in.
Right.
For the first 3 miles, I was like, this is easy. Yeah, after that, after mile 3, it gets harder.
Right.
It gets a lot harder.
Well, and then to add in too that we had to go up on the ridge because we couldn't sleep within a quarter mile of the lake.
Yeah.
That
was the hardest.
That was a surprising add even to myself, right? I mean, it's one thing to hike up there and get the beautiful views, but then our whole point was coming for the lake.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we got to hike up and down this hill every time we want to go to camp or go to the lake. And
yeah.
So we quickly decided to change our plans along the way, which worked out. I think we've got a beautiful valley here tonight, and it puts us a little bit closer on the way out. So we're about a mile closer to heading back tomorrow. So that'll give us a nice, easy day
Yeah,
tomorrow.
true. Yeah, just a 4 mile hike out then, huh?
Should be about,
Yeah.
4.5, I think.
Yeah.
I think we were 5.5 to the lake.
Mm-hmm.
So with this being your guys' really kind of first backpacking trip, I've mentioned before, how impressed I was at how well you guys did. Tell me a little bit about what you did to prep yourself to be able to come out. Because for somebody who hadn't really,
Yeah.
like I said, you guys got a lot of experience hiking, you got a lot of experience
Yeah.
camping,
Yeah.
but no experience backpacking. But yet you crushed it, this weekend. So like, what'd you do to get ready?
Well, I don't think there's anything we can do for us to prepare for the elevation. Just being at sea level, and there's around our area, it's just everything's pretty much sea level, right? So
Right.
that part of it, I don't think we didn't do any preparation because, it's not in our backyard.
Right.
But otherwise, other than that, I mean, I think it's just having the experience being outdoors, being able to enjoy nature.
And what do you think for gear? Like,
Mhm.
you think you're just normal kind of car camping, boat camping, canoe camping, all the different things that
yeah.
you said you've done before? Do you think that prepped you for being able to gear up for this trip?
Oh yeah, for sure. We definitely had some gear that was suitable for backpacking, but we did need new backpacking gear too. So we did buy before we came on this trip. We bought some new gear, like our tent right behind us. That's bigger than our last tent. We had a 2-person tent, and this is a 3-person tent, and it's even lighter than our previous one. And yeah, that definitely helps. Having a bigger tent and lighter weight. So we did that. Preparing what we can. There's more that we could upgrade, like this chair.
Right.
It's a few pounds opposed to your chair, which is a lot less. And yeah, and just kind of having I guess a lot of we had a lot of time to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
So even though where we live, we don't have any REI because we're just like out there, and it's an hour from the closest town that has an REI. So we had to kind of hour and a half actually. So we had to kind of we had to think about what we needed, and then we also did a couple camping trips before this trip too.
Mm.
So that kind of
Yeah, you even did a shakedown with all your gear, right?
Yeah.
At your house.
Yeah. Oh, we got the new backpacks too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had backpack before, but it was just from the college days, just a random. It was also an Osprey, but I had something that was. We both got something that fitted us a lot better, and that was suitable.
Out of all the gear that you brought, what are you glad you brought?
The fishing rod, the flies.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, so I try to pack mostly the essentials, except the Yeti mugs, which I'm glad I brought it too,
Mm-hmm.
because like I was telling you, I like having a hot cup of coffee, and to keep it hot.
Right.
And it's nice. It was nice to have it in the morning, when it's still cold outside, and
Mm-hmm.
having a nice hot cup is actually really nice.
Yeah, I definitely had to drink mine a little faster with my titanium mug.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I've seen some folks take and put some of those heat reflectors and stuff on them, and that helps keep it warm too. So I might try some of those too in the future. Maybe tell me for a minute. These are some cool meals you guys brought. Tell me a little bit about the meals you got tonight.
Jocelyn, Jocelyn found them.
Mm-hmm. They were on Instagram, and the algorithm just suggested it to me.
It's
I was like,
called.
this is better than. It looks better than meals that we've had before. 'Cause
Right.
We have gone to like middle of nowhere cabins,
Mm-hmm.
which is easier to pack some of these.
It's called Iron Goat Provisions, and this one that we're eating right now. And I was reading a little bit about them because there was a little info card.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 brothers. I think they were from Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making authentic Asian food
Yeah.
in a backpacking meal.
Yeah, it
style.
looks really yummy.
It was really good.
Yeah, I've got the standard chicken Alfredo pasta tonight, which we chose, today. We ended up while we were at the lake because we knew we were going to have camp further away. We chose to cook up our trout that we caught and eat that for lunch, kind of a late lunch, which was really super amazing. It reminds me, I get a lot of my my audience that talk about how they love to cook at camp, and I get to be to the point where I like to keep it so simple a lot of times when I go out. And so even though they may not always be the best tasting in the world, the dehydrated meals, I just stay simple so many times. But today reminded me so much more about what you can do when you're actually cooking it up and you bring in some good ingredients.
Yeah, and all you need is just a few things to make a simple meal, but it's fun. I think that's one of my favorite things when I'm in the outdoors, when you don't have any reception, you kind of just, all right, what do you do? What do I do? I like just cooking all day. It's so fun, especially when you can have an open fire. And we've done stuff like smoke a whole salmon, and that takes all day long, just tending to the fire, and got to fillet and prep the salmon. So it's a fun process.
Yeah, I need to come that way for one of those camping trips.
Oh yeah.
We don't get to have the open flames as often up here, which meant, yeah.
We went to Alaska.
That's
okay.
Alaska trip kind of.
Oh, gotcha. Nice. Well, Jocelyn, how about you? I mean, first time backpacking. How do you feel the trip went overall? Likes, dislikes?
I think it was easier than I thought. Not that it was easy, just in my mind, I imagined I was going to keel over with like, the lungs being so high up. So that was easier. I was also worried. I had like a messed up rib. I think that's probably why I put off backpacking for so long. But since the backpack was fitted correctly and all the weight was on my waist, I didn't feel it on my rib.
Yeah, and you guys actually went into like REI and had them fit you, and you carried around and walked around with your backpacks when you got them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think that's a great idea, especially when you're first starting out, because you really don't. There's so many different brands out there, and so many of them fit differently. And just being able to go in and put something on, walk around with it, makes such a big difference.
And I'm glad I did that because the first one I tried, I liked the look of it, I liked the color and everything, and then I was like, yeah, that one looks good. And I tried it with maybe like 30 pounds in there. Walked around the store for even just 5 minutes. And I was like, this kind of feels, doesn't really, it's already getting heavy. I can already feel it like kind of getting heavy within 5 minutes. So I feel like that was, I was like, all right, let me try another one. And then that second one that I tried felt much better. It actually felt like, I wasn't carrying that much. Even though I was using the same amount of weight in the backpack. So
nice. Well, do you think you enjoyed yourself enough? I mean, now that you got all the great gear, that you'll be doing some future backpacking trips coming forward?
100%.
Same with you, Jocelyn? Yeah.
Yeah, I was already telling him we can go in a few weeks to the Sierras.
Oh, nice.
Because we're going to meet up with friends in Lake Tahoe. We visit camp 3 days and get to shower over there.
Was there anything in particular after the weekend that you feel like you didn't bring that you wish you would have? You guys seem to be so well prepped that I can't imagine there's going to be anything you can think of.
No.
I kind of miss my wearable sleeping bag.
Is it heavier than the one that you have now? Is that the reason why you didn't bring it?
I think so.
I think it's even smaller too.
Yeah, but I do think this one is rated for lower temperature.
Which we didn't need for this weekend.
Yeah. This would have been perfect for your wearable sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Because it's not that cold.
Outside to wear it.
She just looks like she's in a spacesuit.
Well, for me, I think too, I'll kind of end this with, it was definitely worth it. Like, it was so cool to see what you brought in to make such an amazing meal.
with the fish. Like so much of it was so lightweight. Like you didn't really have that much weight.
Yeah.
Like you were able to, you brought one of your nice knives.
Mm-hmm.
You brought a very thin cutting board. We had enough. We both actually brought stoves so that we had enough between the two of us to do this. Whereas maybe I would have normally shared with other people, but it went really well. I mean, the pots that we had, and then the seasonings and stuff. So much of it was dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not that much extra weight, which is just so cool to kind of see that you don't really have to, bring in, because originally, when we started planning this, I think I've told you throughout the weekend that I really thought you were going to come with like so much gear.
Yeah.
2 and 3 fishing rods, your whole knife kit, that cool kit that you have, and just all this stuff in order to be able to do something super cool, but you didn't have to. Like, it was easy.
Yeah, no, it was honestly a last minute decision to leave a couple things like my second rod. I was gonna bring the spinning rod just in case, just to I'm just more confident with it, I guess. But since I caught a trout in the other lake the day before, I was like feeling confident with the fly rod. I was like, I could do this with it. We can catch fish.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was like, I'm gonna leave it. I almost brought it just for Jocelyn because she was planning on fishing, so just to have a second rod for her. But she was like, no, it's all right. She was like, I could try the fly rod. She didn't end up fishing at all, but
Tossed it like once or twice.
I was busy reading a book.
Yeah.
And rightfully so too. I mean, like, we weighed our packs before we came in, and you guys really weren't that heavy. I mean, I think for first time backpackers, I think you did really well. I didn't necessarily see all of your personal gear, but I mean, some of the stuff, like a lot of times newer beginner backpackers, they have a tendency to pack their fears and a lot of other things. You bring double and triple of everything because you think you need it and some of that kind of stuff. But I didn't really see you guys do a lot of that, So your weights were really well. Considering you were also bringing in stuff for your dog, Roscoe came out and, he carried some of his stuff, but you guys also carried some extra stuff for him. But I think it went really well.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, we enjoyed it a lot. And such a beautiful, beautiful place.
Well, you guys are welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll find a place that we can camp next to the lake next time. I think that's the only thing I missed from this trip was, it would have been really nice crawling out of the tent at 5:45, like we watched the sunrise come up this morning, which was cool.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to be like tossing supplies on the lake. As the guy
early morning
who's never fly fished in my life, who decided to buy this tenkara rod to just join in on this.
Yeah.
I definitely got a little bit of the bug, I think.
Nice.
It was fun. I didn't land as many as you did in this trip, but I definitely had a blast.
Yeah.
Watching them strike it. That little bitty tenkara rod barely weighed over 2 ounces. It was really easy to be able to bring in. I mean, with all the extras that I brought in with it, I think I was maybe at 8 or 9, and even counting the insulated tube that our protection tube that it came with it. But it was super cool, and it didn't seem to have an issue with the smaller fish that we were catching out here. I don't know what it would do if I caught a a 14 or something like that, but I didn't seem to have any problems being able to. I didn't break the pole, which is what I thought I might do with that little bitty thing. So it was a really cool thing to have.
Awesome. Would you take it on future trips?
Yeah, and the nice thing I think for me about that, because as I get older, right? Like for me, I would never call myself a super ultralight person. Like, even though I dabble in the ultralight world and I can get my gear really lightweight these days, a lot of that's because as I get older, I realize that I like to go far out here. Like I like to get further out. And as I age, the lighter my gear is, the easier that becomes, to do. I'm not in that age where I can carry a 55-pound pack anymore for, 10 miles in a day. And so I've just slowly over the years constantly started to, get my gear to be a little bit less and less and less.
Yeah.
And you learn too, like, what are the things that you don't need to carry? What are the things you do need to carry, and some of that stuff over the years.
Yeah.
But the thing that I like about that little tenkara rod is that even though I like to stay kind of light, and a lot of times I will leave out things
Mhm.
that I don't think that I need or will use, like
Yeah.
that thing weighs so little
Right.
that it wouldn't hurt my feelings if, for 3 ounces if I came out here and I
Yeah.
didn't use it.
Yeah.
But just knowing that I could have it to have a little fun in some of these alpine lakes is
Yeah.
definitely a cool thing to have.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, I think now after we finish up our dinner here, we're going to retreat away from some of the mosquitoes and probably call it an early night.
Yeah.
Well, we had a good night. Sleep there near the creek lulled us to sleep as we went to bed. Slept really well. Woke up, it was a little cooler sleeping near the water, but made for a great last night. Really got to hang out and just enjoy some good stories before calling it a night. And today we got up this morning and really just took our time, had some coffee, enjoyed the meadow, had a deer walk through camp. It was nice, and just kind of relaxed and shared a lot of stories of our different adventures between Taku and I. But we had a blast. This turned out to be an amazing trip for me, to really get a good reminder on what doing some fresh cooking out and even fishing. I haven't really fished much since I was a kid, and so learning to take that and bring something from my childhood back into my adulthood, into something else that I enjoy, was really nice to be able to do. So, love the trip so far. Very glad that I really got to take the opportunity to share this experience with Taku and Jocelyn, and especially Roscoe. So, super fun trip. And so now we've packed up and we're hiking out and gonna call it a successful weekend. So, if you're not familiar with either of Taku's and Jocelyn's channels, then go check them out. A lot of good content. Man, this guy knows how to cook up some fish. So I need to start watching more of his videos if I'm gonna start, catching fish in the backcountry a little more and learning how to actually cook it up the way he did yesterday. So go check out his channel. And as always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully I see you out on the trail.